Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 99th episode of
our
Get
It's
Reelisms
99.
podcast. I am Adam Chase Rennie.
And I am Christine Chen.
One more away from the 11100. Oh,
yes. Dude. Yes. The champagne roll. That's what we call it on set when we hit 100 rolls. Maybe shot as the champagne roll. So it's almost
I was thinking about like getting champagne for the next like podcast, but I don't drink champagne. It fucks me up. Yeah,
really? I love
it gives
champagne.
me the worst headaches. Like if I drink champagne, then I'm like, I can't plan anything else for the rest of the day. And we're doing it at like 11 a.m.
Okay.
That's kind of crazy.
Then we'll call it champagne roll. I think I have some champagne. You just drink whatever you want. Kombucha
or
roll.
Smoke whatever I want. Yeah, I'll do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
We roll.
We'll count it as a cheers. That's fine. I'm chilling with that. Fuck it.
Okay.
Let's go.
What am I doing? Oh, we got to figure out a different day to record Sunday. Oh no. Yes, I do. Because I'm at AFI on Sunday. So we'll figure it out. We'll do maybe Friday or something.
No big deal. You're teaching at AFI.
It's been fun.
Flexing on us over here. So how's it been going for you, Christine? Catch us up.
So I've been teaching, mentoring at American Film Institute, AFI. It's been very fun.
Very prestigious school in Los Angeles, by the way.
I enjoy teaching. And part of it is because I think it's a great way to ensure, or at least just have some sort of impact on minds going forward. And hopefully you can, because it's always a trickle-down effect, when it comes to people in the industry. And the hope is that with a little bit of guidance that going down the line, we'll create leaders that are, kind and good at their jobs and just won't yell on set. I don't know. I feel it's nice when I get to teach some of that, and lead by example or whatever,
Totally.
And it's also fun to be reminded that like, oh, I no longer freak out about things on set anymore because I've been so beaten down by the day-to-days of what it's like to be on set that I'm like,
But there's strength in that.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm mentoring how the cycle films work for AFI is they do it's not a thesis film, but it's kind of like a short film, about 10 to 12 pages long. And all the students switch around between these cycle films and they get to do each of the roles, which I think is pretty brilliant, because part of the things I've been hammering a lot in this podcast is that perspective is key to everything, to being a good filmmaker in general. And so you'll have a director one week that becomes an AD, the next week that becomes, I don't know if they do camera as well, but or how that works, but they switch around. So I've talked to lots of mentees that are in the AD department that are going to direct their next cycle film, so next week or this coming weekend, I'm doing a film for a director who was my AD mentee like 2 weeks ago, So I think that's important, having that perspective. Now he knows, having been or an AD for that one project, like what he can do better as a director, on his own project. And I think most of the problems on set can literally be fixed by having perspective as to how other people's jobs are going or what they need to be able to succeed at their jobs, right? And so so that's what I do. It's split between 3 days. They have 3 days to shoot 10 to 12 pages, which I'm like, this is luxurious. First of all, I already know this.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're freaking out that they're like, we're not sure we can get these things done. And I was like, 10 pages in 3 days. Come on, guys.
Flip me over blindfolded, upside down. I can do this. Let's go.
And it's cute because they one of the requirements is they do what you call play-by-play, hour by hour. And they create a shot list, and within those shot lists with the DP and the director and the mentee AD, they list out like what they think each setup will take time-wise. And they list it out so that hopefully by the time it ends, it like shows like, oh, this is a 10-hour day, okay, we can achieve that or whatever. And the biggest thing that I notice with new mentees, ADs is they freak out when it doesn't happen exactly as they have planned it in their shot list day by day, and hour by hour. And I got an mentee just like, oh my God, we're like an hour. It's been an hour and we said it would take 30 minutes. Like, what do we do? What's the contingency plan? Like, do we like cut shots like right now? Like, what do we? And I'm like, it's the first shot.
Yeah, it's the first shot, dude. Yeah.
I'm like, you'll be fine. It's the first shot. It's like, yeah, but we're 30 minutes later already. I'm like, He's like, what do we go and like, what do we go and push them? I was like, they're all working.
I was just about to say they're probably still setting up. They're still probably working their shit together.
All working. I was like, what would you suggest that we do to push them harder? And he or she would be like, I'm like, exactly. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
We just smile and we make sure that our job, that nobody's waiting on us, that everybody is talking to each other and stuff. And it's fun.
Periodic time checks here and there, and then move on.
And they're like, and at the end of the set, they're always like, how do you do that where you're just so calm and like we're like so far behind and we still end on time? I was like, well, this is how you do it. You create little checkpoints throughout your day. And you know that at this particular checkpoint, if you don't make it to this checkpoint, that's when you start freaking out. How we get to those checkpoints doesn't effing matter, right? It's like if I'm going to drive from LA to Austin and I have to be there by day 2. Now, if I want to stop in Zion National Park and then I want to stop in some other place along the way and then maybe go eat some food at this other, it doesn't matter. I might be 4 hours behind, but as long as I make it to Austin by the second day at the time that I said I would, that's all that matters, right?
Doesn't matter. So
that's kind of how I would say if you are learning to be an AD, that you have to do it that way because you can't care about every little aspect or it will literally drive you insane. And Carly had to learn it this way too. She's, would freak out about little things because she cares. The freaking out is that's beyond films. That's exactly what I do. I set my okay now we're and it's time to plan P points.
Yeah,
exactly. You have to do that or your brain is going to be so bogged by anxiety that you won't be able to think clearly. And then you are going to be stressing out for absolutely no reason. And then everybody is going to go home happy and you're going to be a like complete wreck. Right.
Oh my God.
So you can't do that. You got to reserve your anxiety and stress for things that actually do matter. Like we're going to do a car shot and the street's not closed, like shit like that. Or like we have guns on set. Like you need to that's when you can be a ball of anxiety and everything. But I think that's the biggest thing that I noticed with new ADs is this inability to just set guidelines and just go with the flow. You kind of have to just say, hey, I did my homework, I know where my checkpoints are. Everything else that's not beyond my control, I let it go. I have so many people who are like, it starts raining and they're like flipping the F out. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Turn off the rain?
Call up Mother Earth. Hey, can you?
Hey, God.
Yeah,
exactly. So you just try to control what you can. And the other stuff you have to let go, or you won't be good at your job because you'll be so stressed out. You'll be projecting it onto other departments or people and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was one big thing that I've watched, new ADs and mentees. So that's a fun thing. The other thing that I've observed for new ADs is because they are so worried about this magical set time that they've set, which again, they set it so it's man-made, so it's open to interpretation and change, but they can't seem to remember that. So they're so fixated on that they forget that I will be standing there watching them as I see departments not communicating with each other and waiting when we don't have anything to wait on, So for example, I'm always observing, like I'm always a fly in the wall and I'm always eavesdropping on everybody's conversations, being a creep like that because I have to. And I'll stand there and I'm listening and I see, oh, camera's like, I'm doing a battery swap. Cool. So I mentally am like, okay, they're going to battery swap. I got to keep an eye on that because that's what's I'm always looking for what is preventing us from moving. Right. So, and then I remembered maybe 10 minutes ago, Art was complaining that they didn't have time to set dress something. Well, guy's doing a battery swap. So, that's probably going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let's get Art in here so they can tweak for that 5 minutes. Right. So, send that person in and then they can start tweaking. And then on the side of my eye, 5 minutes later, I see, oh, battery swap has happened. Now, what happens is that guy who just finished the battery swap is not going to proactive. Some will, but most of the time they won't be like, hey, I'm back, or like, we're ready. Or most of the time they'll just stand there and be like, oh, cool. Well, things are still happening. So yeah. I'm assuming that we're not ready because I see things happening. So I'm just gonna like chat with my buddy here. Right. And I'm seeing all this happening. And the first AD mentee is like, not noticing any of this, right? Of course, because they're fixated on the fact that they're 30 minutes behind on their magical schedule. And I'm like, dude, in the time that I've been standing here, I already know we're ready, but nobody knows because they don't freaking talk to each other. And that's how it goes. So the second thing that you want to make sure as an AD is that you're constantly observing and helping the departments talk to each other because they're not going to do it proactively because everybody, it's groupthink. It's easy to groupthink. Everybody is fixated on what they need to do. And when they just see and observe, oh, things are happening on set, they all each individually assume some other department is doing stuff, and which makes them not ready, makes the whole set not ready. When in reality, Art doesn't need to be in there. I only sent them in there for the 5 minutes that they can tweak to come back so that when camera has swapped batteries, like we can be ready. But what it's actually what's keeping us is the battery swap. So once that's back, I can be like, that's it, no more tweaking, let's go. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing with ADs is just being observant in that aspect of, helping departments talk to each other, because that's surprisingly not something that is completely logical all the time. So,
yeah,
but
communal awareness.
Awareness. Yeah. So I found that very funny because I'm sitting there, I'm like watching the AD and he's like watching the clock and freaking out. And I'm like, dude, like, right now, these are the things I've observed. And they're like, what, type thing. So
that's crazy because I've worked on like UT student films, like doing set dressing gigs. And that was like the number one thing that I would see first ADs sort of fall behind is the lack of like awareness of every single
what's
department.
Going on. Right.
And like you said, like it's a little more, it's less creepy than actually just eavesdropping. They really are just kind of like following up, but not in a way of like a fucking lawyer. It's just like, hey gang, how's it going? What's the news? What's the situation? They just silently walk up and just kind of like, chill out, see what's going on. And then, if they know something's wrong or right, they move on or they help out in any way. and then they move on to the next department and then the next department. And then you do another
Yes.
loop around the sun. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I'm always looping around, just checking in because
but
it's
that's part of the job.
yeah,
And
that's
I
part of the job.
realize that like a lot of new ADs, like you're right, like they get so fixated on the problems of one specific thing that
Yes.
they have no absolute awareness that like, oh, art department was done like 45 minutes ago.
Mhm.
And I'm just sitting here with this other set dresser shooting this shit for like an hour. And I'm like,
Yeah.
aren't we supposed to be rolling? And then
Yeah.
there's like, oh yeah, G&E's done, everyone else is done, and then the AD is just still like kind of in
Yeah.
their own
I
zone, which isn't a bad thing, but like it's
no.
definitely a learning curve. But they
Yeah, I think
also
what you
didn't
hit
have
on
a
the
mentor.
nail. I think what you hit on the nail is that most departments, and this is the reason why there is an AD, is so that departments can fixate on what they need to do and they don't have to think about the bigger picture, right? Because
Yeah.
when you think about the bigger picture, your head is like a cobweb of information, and it is really hard to get anything done a lot of times because there are like 50 problems floating in your heads 24/7, and you're just sitting there prioritizing the problems. But that's why there's a full-on job dedicated to that, because it's sitting there prioritizing the problems. But every other department is literally fixating this one thing, like, oh, this curtain isn't sitting right, like certain, like little details. I don't fixate on little details, because when I do fixate on little details, the bigger picture doesn't get done, right? And so I have to, as an AD, a good AD has to fixate on overall your goals, getting it out on time, making sure things never stop, and hitting all the milestones of rule time requirements. It's all about time, and making sure we get our shots and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, so when you're new as an AD, I think that's the part you forget. You forget and you fixate on a problem, and then you fixate on that, and then the 50 other problems that are also maybe equally as important just gets forgotten, and then that's when things come to standstill. But it's funny, there's so many times when I've gone out to find people on their smoke break and like, hey, like what's going on, like
Right.
what are we waiting on? And they're like, oh, we were waiting on art. And I'm like, oh really? I was like, and I'll walk over to art. I was like, why are you guys waiting? And they're like, oh, we're waiting on G&E. I was like, great, you two are both waiting on each other. That's funny. Both are on a smoke break. How about we all go inside?
Yeah, that's nuts. All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's start this shit.
Well, cool. Clearly you both are done. So let's go inside. But that's because people are like, they're like, I finished my job, but it looks like somebody is still working or whatever. And so it's just the bigger
Well,
picture.
and usually like no department is gonna walk up to the AD
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah,
be
and
like,
say
we're
I'm done.
done, you know.
No, yeah, you might get a DP that because they know that they have so many shots that they want to accomplish, that might be like,
Exactly.
camera's ready. But other
Yeah.
than that, nobody does that. Yeah,
It's
they're
like,
all
oh
gonna
shit. All
just
right, let's get a snack. Sheesh.
yeah, exactly.
We're done.
That's what they'll do. When they're done, they'll be like, oh, well, what else can I tweak? Or
Yeah.
um, let's go get a snack. Or hey, I haven't talked to that department in a while. Let's go chat. That's usually what
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
There's nobody. I think really the
I'm
only
guilty of that.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the only person that I'll hear like is maybe like camera being like, camera's ready. I'll hear that. Or sound may be like, okay, we're clear because we're waiting on like some sort of sound problem, right?
Mhm.
But no other department will be like, oh, I'm back. Or so, I mean, unless I tell them like, hey, the moment you're done, you tell me, type thing. So, but it's funny. It's fun to observe these things with new mentees, because after a while you take it for granted in yourself, and then you and you and the hope is that as you grow in whatever department, the stuff gets harder. So you're always thinking that you suck at your job.
Yeah. I can't even imagine, especially like being the first gig on your first AD job. Like, oh
Yeah,
my God. That can't
exactly.
like that's not easy. That's not easy.
Yeah. So as you are growing, you'll always. This was like how I felt when I went to undergrad for Rice. was I always thought I was really dumb because I was surrounded by peers that were extremely talented, you know? And so then I got into the real world and had perspective, and I was like, oh shit, I'm actually really smart.
Yeah.
But it's like
Well,
that. It's like, yeah. When you're on a film set and you're like, oh man, like, because I'm always trying to up myself, you know, like
mm,
trying to get better than my previous self. And so you try to get on a harder set, on trying to do things faster, trying to get into that 10-hour day, you know, and then so you're always trying to compete with yourself, and a lot of times you're like, man, like I didn't do a great job, or I suck. And then you watch new people do stuff and you're like, man, I'm great at my job.
smooth, dude.
I'm
Yeah.
so good and I've learned so much. So yeah, another reason why I like mentoring students as well. So yeah, so I do that on the weekends. I not this weekend. It's my first weekend off, but I will next week, right before the holidays. And now I've been using my time to spark up Get Realisms. We've had a lot of wins for Get Realisms.
I heard.
We were just featured on No Film School, which is a big deal for us. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. We were also on Indie Film Hustle, which is a really nice, cool podcast amongst the indie film world. And yeah, I was talking to you how I had set up like kind of a little mini studio in our garage area, and I had this little pull down backdrop where I have paper and I can like shoot product photos and videos around it. And I actually thought about doing the podcast there today, but it's cold outside, so I'm like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just stay put here. But
Well, something
yesterday I
with
was,
stable Wi-Fi.
yeah, exactly,
We don't
stable
know.
up.
We don't know that Wi-Fi.
Correct. So I was going to yesterday I was starting to do some product photos and like doing, I think the hardest part sometimes is doing a lot of this stuff by yourself. And my fabulous roommate and friend of the podcast, Roxy, comes on and is like, hey, have you considered taking photos with our film reels? I was like, we have film reels? And she like pulls out some like old film reels. And I'm like, yeah. And then she starts putting them, and she's like, I have another crazy idea. I was like, shoot, do it. And she's like, Daisy, we need to get Daisy as our mini schnauzer. And so we get Daisy in there to be in the film, in the little commercial. And then she's like, I've got Christmas stuff. And then like an hour later, like we've got a million beautiful photos, and we had so much fun. And like Rossi's like, and let's make snow. And she like pulls out flour and starts to like throw snow onto our set and stuff like that. And I think that little moment summarizes why film sets are so fun, because you'll have a seed of an idea, and then you have brilliant people that you're hopefully friends with or enjoy working with, and they throw out their own ideas, which feeds the fire, and then you work on it together. You get more and more excited, and you get lost in it, and then like before you know it, an hour's gone by, and and your idea that was a seed became hopefully 10 times better than what it started off with, right? So
Because you have
anyways,
that collaborative experience.
exactly, it's
You
that
guys can play off each
collaborative,
other. Yeah.
yeah, it's that collaborative experience. And like I had a moment, both I'm this is so I'm on my period, Roxy's on her period as well. We're saying these things because we want to normalize it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I had a moment where I was like, Roxy, just want to let you know that I love you very much. And then she's like, oh no, stop making me cry. Yeah, we're both like, it's so funny
You just
because
having all the feels. Yeah.
yeah, all the
I get
feels.
it.
And her husband is surrounded by 3 females. So it's me, Roxy, and Daisy's also female as well. And we're all just in the fields, and I don't know, it's really special being able to spend such nice quality time with amazing roommates and friends. So Anyway, being sentimental. But yeah, so making commercials and product videos and stuff for Get Reelisms, because next Monday, or this coming Monday, the 14th, sorry, I don't even know what day it is. The 14th, our Black Friday sales are starting. Yes,
That's right,
so
ladies and gentlemen.
yes, so there's
You get
going to
a
be
phenomenal deal on Get Realisms.
yes,
The second edition, right?
second edition. Yep, second
By
edition.
golly.
And one of the deals is if you spend over $25, you get a free ebook of Get Realisms, which is super fun, which is great. Yeah, because the ebook usually costs $15 and it's like $10 on Amazon. So it's
And it's
we just want
for free?
Yeah, ebook. So we just have to spend 25. And there's plenty of other stuff to buy. So we are doing our buy 2 t-shirts get 1 free discounts, which is fun because there's plenty of department shirts and stuff you can gift your film friends, film fam. We're doing, if you do $10 or more, you get a sticker. So just lots of fun stuff. Go check it out. I think only until tonight you can pre-sign up and get like an extra 15% discount code, a secret code. I know. So
Come
make sure to
on.
go on. Yeah. But it ends tonight though, because the sale starts tomorrow.
You're
I
giving
hear
the store away, Christine.
I know.
What is wrong with you?
Daisy's outside clicking away, wondering why I'm not opening the door for her. So I might do that real quick. So
Yeah. Do you think?
yeah, I'm gonna let her in and I'll show everyone my dog. More our dog, but
Please.
oh, there you are. Go on the podcast. Come here. See, see.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious.
Hi. She's camera.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hi.
Adorable.
Good girl.
Well, that's been the dog break.
That's the dog
Thank you
break,
for
guys.
thank you for that. We appreciate you. Thank you, Daisy, for the guest appearance.
Guest appearance, yes, Daisy.
So anything else
I'm
happening?
going to London for a month for fun.
Well, I'm glad you held on to that. Why? How?
I visited my nephews and nieces and saw how tired my brother was.
Uh-huh.
and all my friends with kids. And I had an epiphany that the time that I will have for myself is slowly decreasing quickly. It's not slowly, it's quickly decreasing. And if I want to see the world, it's only going to get harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I'm going to go to the UK. I'm going to try to find other UK filmmakers to meet up with. I actually realized I know more UK filmmakers than I thought I did. So I reached out to Steadicam_UK. So he's a Steadicam op that's worked on the recent John Wick movies, The Witcher as well, and some other stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, we're gonna meet up. Yesterday there was a screening for a film that I worked on, not last year, the year before, during the holidays around November, that one of the actors is also from the UK. He happens to be back for Christmas as well, so he's going to show me around. I know one of the special effects guys that worked on Game of Thrones, who lives in like west side of the UK, so I'm gonna meet up with him. So it's gonna be super fun. I'm excited. But it's oh goodness. But it's just perspective. going to write,
Yeah.
I find that, remember one of the episodes I said that one of the best ways to get out of a writing funk or to be inspired for me is to put myself in a completely different environment. So that's what I'm going to do. I have several things that I'm wanting to finish up writing. Camille might join me. We'll see. She's also at that end of the year, like trying to finish that last feature before 2023. And so we might like just co-write again to, so I have the pilot I have worked on that I want to maybe finish a pitch for, because I want to make it eventually a spin-off of that pilot that I need to outline and start writing. I need to finish. There's three features that are in various stages of completion that I can definitely do as well. So just write and be inspired and just enjoy being unattached, single, able to afford going out to meeting people and hopefully finding inspiration. So
what a lot of people fail to realize too, I'm not trying to advocate being single, but I, coming from a single person myself, it's less money when you're single than you are when you are in a relationship. Sure. Y'all are sharing money. Y'all want to go out. It's it's a whole expenditure, but you're spending it on yourself, and that's a wonderful thing. I hope maybe you even find yourself a UK boy that you can bring back to the US.
The world, help me manifest a British boyfriend.
Manifest the world to find Christine a hubby from the United Kingdom, please. From Your Majesty herself. May she rest in peace.
The Holiday and Love Actually.
Dude, don't knock those movies. Those movies are awesome. Those are my favorite. I love The Holiday. So that's the only like.
That's essentially what I have, except the swapping part. I'm house sitting for a couple, one of which she's a BBC documentary producer, which is pretty cool. She picked me to house sit because she's like, we saw your reel and we loved it. I was like, wow, that's funny.
Why would that be funny?
Well, I just thought it was funny because I didn't put it anywhere like my reel, like that of all things that my reel is the one that like convinces somebody to let me like house sit for them. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But so I'm like, yay, film helping me out in my day-to-day life. But yeah, so I'll be in London over the holidays, and I haven't really explored much of Europe. The last time I went was about 10 years ago. I went to Ireland for a little bit and Germany. So there's so much of Europe I've yet to see. So I'm excited about that. And then yesterday, I guess what else happened? Yesterday, I went to a screening. I kind of alluded to this a little bit. The film is called Match Me If You Can. And it was lovely going to the screening. I think there's always this trepidation of going to a premiere of a film that you've worked on.
In what way?
Well, you go and you're like, especially if it's a film that you like had a good time on, right? Mm-hmm. Like you had a lovely time, you love the cast and crew, and you're going to go to see the premiere, and the last thing you want is for the movie to suck.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, because it kind of
that's true. That's a good point.
Experience a little bit, because you're like, man, like I had such a great time. The perfect storm will be if I go and I watch and the film is great, and then it will be like the nice bow on the gift, right?
Yeah.
But 60% of the time, it's not that way. It'll be like, it's rare to have good set, good film, or it's more common to have good set, bad film, or bad set, bad film. Like I would say 70% of the time, it's those other two options. So
yeah.
So going there, I'm like, oh, I really hope this movie is good because I had such a great time. A lot of my friends I haven't seen since the set are here, and it's like nice to like see everybody and everything. And then like you watch it, you're like, holy shit, it's
It's
good.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
good. And you're
awesome.
like, I'm proud. Not that I wasn't proud to be, I was already proud to be on the set, but now I'm even more so, right? And so that's, I don't know if, for the people who are listening who are filmmakers, whether you guys, I mean, you probably, I mean,
Oh, I
Adam,
totally have.
I mean, what did you feel when you first saw, when you first wanted to go see Ursula, right? You probably were like, I really hope this doesn't suck, right? Because what am I
Yeah,
gonna, how am I
I
gonna look
hope.
Christine in the eye?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then I have to look at my mentor in the eye and lie to her, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, of course I. Well, that's the thing though. Like, it's hard because I don't know if it's like I'm not trying to sound arrogant, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but I don't have any other way of saying this. I feel like I know that it's going to be a bad film based off of the script that I read. If I
Fair. Yeah.
know that if I read the script and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is, then I'm like 70 to 90% positive that I'm like, this is not gonna be a good film. But like you said, it could like all so many times it's been a bad film, amazing set, and it's like you don't want that to happen because you want to root for the film. And sometimes
Yes.
I was pleasantly surprised whenever I read a script and I do be part of something like a short. I think this is like 3 years ago, actually. It's like one of
Yeah.
like my first year working. And I thought it was just going to be horrible. And then after like posts and everything, and I got a link and I watched it and I was like,
Like, wow.
oh
Yeah,
shit,
that
okay,
works.
but with Ursula, I knew it was going to be phenomenal just by what you and Camille wrote. Like I already knew. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna fucking pop off. I'm so excited. And because Killer Mermaid film, are you kidding me? Yes, I want it now.
Yeah. But I
Because
could have, I mean, like, the thing is, I've been on so many sets where the script was good and then the film turns out like, meh, you know?
yeah, okay. I don't know if I've been on a set like that, but
Okay.
yeah,
I think that's the most disappointing when you knew the potential of the script.
oh
And
man,
because
that
you were on,
hurts.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you
that
were on
sucks.
set and you saw what contributed to the final product. And
You're like,
then
oh no.
you're like, yeah, I see this is where it
Damn.
went awry. But like, or like there's the thing is there's so many elements that can take you out of a film, that are not the script. So let's say one department just kind of drops ball that can take you out of it. The editing, so many times is the editing, or not having enough coverage or whatever. So there's just so many things. And so it was just nice to go to a film that you enjoyed. You had a great time with all the cast and crew, and you loved the director. Well, yeah, Marianne, loved working with her. And then you go and you sit and you're like, okay, I hope it's good. I hope it's good. And you watch it, you get lost in it, and you have fun and you're laughing. And at the end, you're like, shit, that works. Like, that's great. I had a
Didn't
great
think it
time.
would. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I think that's always a
Yeah.
great feeling.
That I've had that feeling for sure. But yeah, I
Everybody
never
has a feeling. Like, as much
yeah.
as you were like, oh, the early script was great, things
Yeah.
could have still been fucked up.
Yeah,
Like,
it could have
it
been
could have been
fucked up
edited
for
poorly.
sure.
It could
Yeah.
have been, I could have missed lots of coverage, or I could have, somebody's performance could have not worked. I mean, I know several people went and be like, I thought when I was on set that some of the performances were questionable in terms of like your decisions on it. And then I saw it cut together and I was like, oh shit, it works. It's like stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I do have those feelings
Yeah.
to a certain degree, but
Okay.
more times than not, yeah, I definitely see something and I'm like, this works. This
Yeah.
definitely works. And it's
So
it's
here's,
very easy for me to like just kind of just be, especially when I'm a PA, I don't really have the luxury to just really like,
Form opinions.
yeah, like to just have, yeah, exactly. Like to just really have, but even as a set dresser, like I never really felt like, oh, I'm entitled to an opinion. Not
Sure.
really. I mean, I'm just a hired gun, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I definitely have like my 2 cents into some things, but more times than not, if I read the script, there's if I know it's not, it's not great,
Yeah.
then yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
probably, and then I go and then turns out, yeah, it wasn't that amazing. But I mean, it's always hard to it's so hard to read the lines between like,
Yes.
like especially if it's your friend, if it's a
Yes.
friend that you work with and you're just like, how do I say this?
Yeah.
Like and it doesn't need to be like something that's like fucking horrible, like it's a dumpster fire, like you got to set the fucking film on fire, destroy the evidence, nothing like that. But there's definitely some moments where I would see something and I'm like, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say anything, and I know I should, but I'm not, because I'm not. The creative department is their own department. I'm not the creative department. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
just in
But
the
that's,
art
I think
department.
that's when it's amazing that if you have the luxury to be able to work with people you've worked with for a long time, who you trust, and you
Yeah,
mutually trust each other to be able to voice your opinion that could help to elevate the film. I think that's when a film turns from good to great, is when you have that rapport. And unfortunately, you don't always get that luxury to be able to control who works on your set, or who you invite, or whatever. But I think that's, if you're able to create an environment that makes it a safe space to be, and has the time to be able to address everybody's ideas and stuff like that, that's when you turn something
yeah.
good to great.
That's what I
And
thought everybody would have like in their mind, especially like any filmmaker who's directing it would want a set that would preserve the integrity of the
right.
story and
Yeah.
understand that, like, hey, if other departments want to point out something that I'm not necessarily seeing, I need you to say it.
I need you to say it exactly. But
Yeah, but
yeah, but
but there are directors who I definitely work with
exactly.
who are like, no, I need you to shut your mouth because I know art, you don't. I just hire you and I
Right.
pay you, so shut your mouth. There's definitely those directors, but
Yes.
even then, I don't. And let me tell you something: those directors usually bad script, bad film.
Yep.
I hate
Yeah.
to say it, bad script, bad film most of the time. Um, and then bad set sometimes. But
Mhm.
some of those set, I gotta admit, like I've been on certain those sets, and I love the people I worked with.
Oh
So,
yeah, I've done that. There's been
uh,
many a times where I'm like, I'm
yeah.
here because of the crew and not because
Oh
of
yeah.
above the line at all. Or and so that's why it's rare that that gem of, I love everybody on the set and also the film is great. Like it's such a lovely feeling, you know, because we, all of us in the industry, have worked on other combinations that aren't that, you know. Oh, we love the people, but we don't love the above the line. Oh, we love above the line, we don't like the crew.
But
Oh
yeah,
shit,
the
the film turned out
right.
terrible. There's like
Yeah.
all sorts of things, I had a recent experience where it was like, love the cast and crew, loved everything, but the film came out being like, meh, you know, not
Just
bad,
man.
but not
Yeah,
like
okay.
amazing,
Fair
type thing.
enough.
So,
Yeah.
so, and that's okay. But like, it's great when you watch something and you're like, okay, I'd watch that again. And my name's on it, and my friends' names are on it. And somebody that I like, their friend, it's their film, and her name's on it. She should be proud. Like, that's what a lovely feeling that is, when you're able to root for everybody on a team and be able to stand proudly in front of something that you are a part of. I think that's a lovely feeling.
Because nobody wants their shit to fail,
Yeah.
because that's also, I don't know if it's necessarily on you, but you're part of the process. So you kind of feel somewhat of a level of like responsibility, but
Yep.
I don't know, like sometimes, like, especially when it's like that, but like, I just won't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it might be on my IMDb credits, but
but
it's
we're just
fine.
gonna
We're
let it
just gonna
slide.
sweep it under the rug. It's whatever. If somebody asks, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that
I
was a
worked on
thing.
that. That was a
Yeah.
while ago. Yeah. So, but I want you to know, Adam, that anytime we're on set and have the opportunity to work together, I want you to tell me if there's something that you feel like would be better. And I don't care what it is. So,
Well, of
I
course, you
value
got it.
your opinion
Absolutely.
very much. So,
Absolutely. Well, and also too, it helps when I have a teacher, a mentor who is like showed me like the right way of approaching a situation, rather than like, approaching it in like a, non-direct way, or in like like in a way that doesn't. You basically
beat
showed
around the
me
bush.
like it's okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
okay
it's
to
good to
like
beat
speak your
around.
mind
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
when the
There's ways to
time is right,
tactfully,
though.
yes, there's ways to tactfully speak your mind.
Totally.
When
Yeah.
there's a gun in the street and there's cars and there's children running around, probably not a good time to bring up
Oh
that
my God. Yeah.
this
No.
one thing is happening. Like just read the room. But yeah, I think it's better to say something than to hold it and then realize it later that like, ooh, because the thing is, you might be pleasantly surprised when the other person comes back being like, oh, well, thanks for pointing that out, but
Mhm.
this is why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. And then being
Right.
like, oh, okay, cool. Then they've thought about it, and I think most of the times when you're voicing your opinion, you really just want you just want to see whether the other person has thought about this particular issue or problem or idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like, oh, whatever you tell me, I'm gonna 100% do it, but it's like, oh, you have considered that. Cool. As long as you have a plan, that's all that matters,
Mhm.
right? So like
And you also like answering questions too. That's what
yeah.
I notice about you, is like you don't ever get annoyed when, like, sometimes it's a question, it's like, buddy, you have sides in your pocket. Fucking read it. Are you out of your mind? But most of the time you don't do that. You're very much just like, yeah, this is the next shot. This is what we're going to do. This is, what's happening after lunch, or whoever even has like the dumbest fucking question, you still see past judging them and you just go straight to the point, and you do that, and you do that very well. Whereas like a lot of people, I hate to say it, sometimes will look at you and be like, were you born yesterday? What happened?
I try really hard not to. I sometimes think like it shows on my face, but I think my very close friends can read it sometimes, but like I try
Yeah.
very hard. I try very hard to not to reserve a reaction,
Right.
and take a step back to process before I react emotionally. I think that's the issue. It's here we are in therapy again.
Yeah.
That therapy. I think all of it is just it's, and this is with life. This is not just film. Is that our traumas dictate how we react to something emotionally, and if you're not dealing with those traumas, they become a compounding effect. So when you're triggered and you haven't dealt with your traumas, then your emotional reactions become exponentially larger because it's a collective aggregate of all the past traumas that elicit the same emotional reaction. So the problem on set is that within a very stressful environment where there's time, there's other factors that you don't have control over and all that stuff, it's much easier to resort to how you initially would react to something emotionally. And I would say 70% of the time on set, most people default to stress that way with their initial emotional reaction. But if you are a leader of any department or of a whole set or whatever, it is pertinent for you to rein in your initial emotional reactions, process, then figure out how you're going to proceed.
Right.
Because I'm not saying that what you're feeling is not valid. It's more that letting your feelings dictate your actions is only going to cause more problems down the line. Yeah. So I think that the best leaders are that way. Somebody, I know who it was, DP, a long time ago, I would say 10 to 15 years ago, Alex Walker. It was my first time on, I was a producer on a short film, or I can't remember which one it was. Yes, it was a Bird's Nest, actually. And, or maybe it wasn't a bird. I can't remember, but it was really stressful and we're all stressed out. And he reminded me that we're in positions of power. And if we show that we are losing our minds, what do you think? How does that make everybody else feel?
Right. Everybody's losing their minds.
Yeah. So it is up to us to present this front of we're calm, everything is fine, we're going to get through it type thing. And it's okay if internally we're feeling like shit's burning to the ground and we're stressed out of our minds, but we can't show that.
Right. Because you kind of have to ask yourselves like those questions, right? Before you have that reactionary feeling of just like, I'm stressed out, freaking out, war for good, everything's on fire, like instead of just going straight to that point, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? Is everything all right? Like, why? Oh, is it because of the time? Okay, well, what can I be doing with the time as well?
What can I do can help with this? Yes, exactly.
Yeah. If you have a solution to that problem, maybe that can justify some of the stress.
Exactly.
Probably. But if you don't, that's even more power on you for you to just relax and just let it go.
I think
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I think I think that's great. So if you were to pose a question as to like, well, what's the best way to handle difficult situations on set? I think first is your feelings are valid, but rein in those feelings before you react to them.
For sure.
2 is think through it. Why, like you said, why are you feeling that way? Is it something that you can control? A or B? If you can, you can maybe pose a solution. If there is no solution, then chill the fuck out for the time being.
Yeah. I mean,
because there's nothing
you acting like a fool ain't gonna fix the problem any faster.
It's make it more stressful for someone else.
Totally.
Exactly. And then pose a solution, or say, hey, I just need some time. I'll be fine. And then go in your car and cry, yell at something.
Yeah.
And
but I think I think because I have not felt that way, like when I first started working in the film industry. Like I thought that if there was even a single problem, like fucking London Bridge is burning down, it is bad news bears. So, but I learned, because starting off in the art department, like you want to execute everything in like a certain level of efficiency where you can just like get there, get it done, and then move on, But then sometimes there poses a problem, there's a certain kind of, I don't know, curtain that the DP will ask you. It's like, hey, that's like reflecting a whole bunch of light. We can't use that curtain. We got to do something else. And then you have to think on the fly. That easily gets me like to the point of stress where I'm just like, oh, I'm shutting everything down. And I'm just like, I'm like in DEFCON 5 trying to freak out, understand how I can fix this problem, right now, you know? And sometimes, yeah, you got to figure it out. But also at the same time, it's like nothing will ever get done if you know that the first indication of anything going bad your way is, well, the set's fucked, I am now freaking out, you know?
Yeah, nothing will ever get solved if you stay in that mental space.
And exactly. And Kelly taught me, it was just like, you know, there's going to be those moments where someone will tell you something that is just impossible. Unfixable, and you're just gonna have to look them in the eye and just be like, I can't. Anything. There's nothing I can do. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't. And then Kelly's like, no, to forget all about that shit. Like, you like sometimes you just have to say it. And I remember one time I had to say it on a short, and this was from a friend's short.
Okay.
And
what was it?
It was I don't want to tell you who it is because that feels weird. I don't want to call it out.
But just say what the problem was.
But the problem was that there was not enough prop food. There was not enough prop food, and I've made only a certain amount. And the way the person wanted to shoot it, like they wanted to have like a better looking food, basically.
Got it. Yeah.
And told me like, hey, we have like 45 minutes. Why don't you go to a store and just go make some prop food right now? And I'm literally like, I went through the entire, like, it felt like I stopped time for like a second, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, there's no way I can do this at all. And I told him, I was like, look, in order to do all this, like, I listed all the reasons why, like, this won't work and why it would take way longer than 45 minutes. And also, you probably won't even like it at the end product because I'm rushing through it all. I made this prop food in a whole day, you know, like I put in thought and there's a process with
time
it. So I do like to work in efficiency. If it's not within my control, I can't do it. There's no way. Yeah, and I always try to challenge myself saying like, oh yeah, no, I can. And that's what Kelly taught me, was like, sometimes you just can't.
You can't. Yeah,
and that's okay. Sometimes you can't lift a couch by yourself. You know what I mean? Like I try to think, I'm like, yeah, I can lift this entire recliner, no problem. And I felt like my spine was like a piece of bamboo about to snap.
It's boundaries. Yes. Understand.
You need to ask for help, or just know that it's way out of your control. Ain't gonna happen. You know? And we were on a short, so this was like, I was the only one in my art department. So there was just 100% no way for me to make something out of fucking thin air. You know, we didn't have a grill. We didn't have access to a kit. Like, there was nothing I could do. It's like, what do you want? Put like Doritos on a chopstick or something? Like, there's nothing I can do, you know?
Yeah. So and sometimes Roxy and I have this conversation a lot. It's like, sometimes that's the only way for them to learn, is to realize some of the stuff might have been preventable if they had done a certain amount of prep or whatever. So it's not up to their incompetence to stress you to the point of, exhaustion, or that like it's just not possible. So sometimes it's the best thing you can do is step away and do a reality check. I have to do that so many times. Like, look, this shot list was that's why I like getting shot lists up front. It's not because I think you're going to follow it. I hope you will, but it's more so to look at it and say, hey, this is a reasonable shot list, or telling you, I do this all the way up front. Like, I'll get they want me to do a schedule, and it's like, 10 days, let me shoot this. And I'll be like, from my professional opinion, this is not possible unless these things. I'm letting you know now so that you know that I voiced my opinion. But if you want to go against that professional opinion, that is also your prerogative.
Right.
But then when we get to it, short of saying I told you so, like if it's not possible, it's not possible.
Right.
Certain things, So
But that's powerful, because then that puts the cards back on their table.
exactly.
And now it's up to that, because you said your piece. Now
Mhm.
you're being the good person to say how you feel. Now
Yep.
it's up to them to just be like, no, fuck you, Christine, I'm going to do my way. Or
Yeah.
like,
And you're
you know
like,
what,
okay,
Christine,
cool.
actually, you're right. We
Yeah.
should probably fix this. Maybe we should add more days or whatever the fuck,
Right. Yeah. But what you don't want to do, and that's why it is important to, if there's to say stuff, to not be passive aggressive about things in a film. What can make or break it is you have to be honest. And once you've said it,
Yeah.
it's out there. And whether or not you can't control the
Outcome.
outcome, exactly. Got to let go of what you expect of the outcome. You can't control that because you can't control whether people are going to listen to you or not.
Fuck, that stresses me out, man. That
Now in a
stresses me
moment.
out.
And
Yeah.
but as long as you know that you've done everything that you can to the
Mhm.
best of your ability, then everything else you have to just let go. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And that's all
yeah,
you can do, right? I mean,
that's all you can do. That is also a life lesson as well. Yes.
no, oh,
And
totally.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's hard. I'm that's something I'm constantly working through, is letting go. I'm in therapy, and that's a big thing, is like it's so easy for you to fixate on future plans or reminisce on past mistakes and going over and over and over and over again. But the thing is, you can only control what's in the present, and there's nothing you can do that will change. You Yes, in the present you can do as much as you can, but that still doesn't guarantee the future outcome, because it's the future. So yeah,
Because who knows in the future? You know what I mean?
what
Truly,
happened?
who fucking knows? We don't
Who
know what's going to
knows?
happen tomorrow. We just
Yeah,
know our call time is whatever the
the
fuck, and then
time.
that's it.
Exactly. So with that in mind, I have to 10-1 soon. So
Sure. So should we take this in for a landing then?
let's take
Okay.
it to a landing.
Um, So, actually, there was some. Well, I guess, nah, never mind. I was gonna say there was some film news that we should have got into,
Oh
but
damn.
it's fine. It's an up. I guess we could do it really quickly. It's an
Yeah.
update on the Alec Baldwin Rust shooting,
Oh shit. Okay.
and Alec Baldwin is now suing crew members
What?
of the Rust set for negligence, in particular with the armor. Um, I mean, it's crazy, because he is, and I think he's filing multiple lawsuits, like with other yeah, he's also suing the first assistant director and safety coordinator David Halls, who
Okay.
handed Baldwin the gun and ammunition supplier Seth Kenny and his company and all that. So he's suing Hannah Gutierrez, who is the armor for
Armor.
that set.
Fair. I mean,
Um,
I
this is coming from Alec Baldwin.
yeah. I mean, it's basically saying that you can't pin the blame all on one person. It was the mistakes of several departments that led to this, yeah, demise,
Yeah,
is what
I
he's
mean,
essentially doing with this statement. Yeah.
right.
Which is not
So,
entirely wrong either.
which I
Yeah.
guess, like, how can you blame him? He's trying to clear his name because
Right.
he feels very earnestly that this was not his fault.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he is producer and he is part of those safety meetings and he was part of every single prop,
Right.
research
I
and
mean, I don't
even
think
crew
he's wrong.
research too,
Yeah.
but again,
Right. The thing is, like, just because you have the most responsibility doesn't render you completely the only sole person of responsibility,
right.
And so that's essentially what he's trying to say, is that, like,
Yeah.
hey, yes, my name is the producer and I have the biggest name, therefore should assume the biggest amount of responsibility. But ultimately, what led up to it was a string of problems that caused the final outcome. And it's not fair to try to pin it on the person who has the biggest name, because it's a string of issues between different departments that led up to it. So he's
Right.
not wrong. It's on
That's
paper,
a
it doesn't
good
look
point.
good. You know, on paper, it might be like, well, you know, you're the producer, therefore it's all your fault. But like, having been in that position, not the same, having been a producer, and even just saying, like, as an AD, like, there are so many things that go wrong on a set that you have zero control over as yourself, you know, as a singular person. And it would not be fair to say that, to, you know, because, like, for example, and I hope this never happens, you know, like, as an AD, okay, let's say we're doing a driving scene, and the street is shut off, great, and you have the walkie, and you are making sure that, you know, okay, everybody up there, the PA up there is locking up or whatever, you know, all that stuff. But then suddenly some random person from crew who didn't have their walkie in, runs in front of the car. Who the fuck are you supposed to blame?
Yeah, that's too many. Yeah.
Right. But the problem is, because you are the person of with the biggest name, and you are in control of it, everybody is
All
going
eyes
to
are on
actually
you.
use you as a scapegoat. It's easier to do that, but it's not fair. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. I'm curious how these lawsuits are going to go, though, despite the fact that the FBI literally said that it's impossible for what the accusation Alec Baldwin made in that interview with ABC. He said that he didn't pull the trigger. It just sort of like cocked, and it just, the hammer slammed by itself, basically, by him just holding the gun. Whereas the FBI has tested it and tested like the exact same model of that gun, and was like, that's impossible for you to have a gun jam like that. And I don't know how far he can get through to that in the court, especially against Hannah, the armorer. But we'll see. I don't know. But you're right, though. I think it's true. It's like all eyes are on him because of the stake of his name. So people want to just pin the blame on him.
Right.
You know, absolutely. Especially the fact that he has a producer title, but that can only mean so many things, right?
Right.
So at the same time, it's just like, yeah, there's going to be negligence somewhere up and down production if you look close enough, you know, which we weren't really part of the set, so we don't know. But at the same time, it's a little head scratchy that Alec is going forward with all this. If I were him, I would just shut the fuck up and just not pay attention to any of this, you know what I mean, and just maybe have an early retirement.
It's messy. I don't know.
It's messy, but we gotta pee, ladies and gentlemen.
We got all pee.
So,
yes. So
let's take this bad boy in for landing. So yeah, that was just the update I wanted to give.
No,
and get your
Get
books
Reelisms,
today,
because
for the Get Reelisms next week
starts the Black Friday sale. Remember,
fucking A.
Every $25 you get a free ebook, which usually costs $15. You can buy 2 shirts, get 1 free. Buy $10 worth of stuff and get a sticker. There's a bunch of other stuff on there. And if you sign up by tonight, midnight, you can get an extra 15% off discount code in your email. So do it. And also continue to watch Ursula, because that's still out there, and it's a good family film to watch, actually, when you guys get together for Thanksgiving and other holiday get-togethers. So
and in order to access that, go on ursleyfilm.com or search it up on iTunes, wherever you like to rent your movies. It will be there. Just search up Ursley and rent it for your viewing pleasure. Thank you so much, everybody. We love you. We'll hopefully see you next week. If not, we'll see you the week after for the 100th episode, our champagne roll, ladies and gentlemen.
We got to figure out, you and I need to like bounce around and think of like, what can we do to make it special? Because that is special.
Yeah, no, it will be. We'll
figure it out. Yeah,
we'll talk about it for sure.
Maybe we'll do a
Um,
giveaway. Ooh, who knows?
get some guests on here. Yeah. Come on. Let's fucking do this. All right, y'all. Well, that has been the Get Reelisms podcast. Thank you so much, everybody. We miss you. We love you. We're out of podcasts, so we're gonna say goodbye. Goodbye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.